Hello everybody. In this video I'm going to talk about logos a little bit. I'm going to show you how to use a couple of tools in Photoshop and Publisher um, to make a logo for yourself. I'm going to introduce an assignment which is going to cover a few weeks having you make a self-identity logo for either yourself, a company that you're working for, or a company you are running or own, or an imaginary company, maybe your dream job or dream company. Or it could simply be just a self-identity logo. Okay, so that'll be your choice. But we're limited to two programs in this class, Photoshop and Publisher. Normally, a design professional would use Illustrator very heavily to make a logo, but because I'm teaching Photoshop and Publisher, that's what I'm going to use. So I'll go back and forth between those two programs. And you can also use simple pen and paper, scan it, and then bring it into Photoshop, and I'm going to show you that as well. So let's say you wanted to do something, a simple illustration. I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm not going to take too much time drawing this, but maybe you want to do something like the hair shapes, and you draw that out like this, like so. One thing that's really important is to close shapes. If you're using a pen or pencil or any kind of drawing tool, don't do this where it's open like that. If you're going to do that, it's going to be hard to select that actual shape and fill it with a color. So just keep that in mind, that if you're going to be drawing shapes, or if you just happen to have something on paper that you really like and you want to transfer it into Photoshop, you're just going to have to make sure that it's a closed shape. Like that, okay? And then what you can do is scan it, bring it into Photoshop, and it'll look something like this. It'll be just a line drawing. And all you need to do at this point is choose the magic wand tool and click directly inside the shape. Keeping your tolerance probably around 50 would be the best in a situation like this. When you choose the magic wand tool, on the top bar here you're going to see a tolerance window, and that defines how much or how little one click will select as far as pixels, and you will have to vary that depending on what you're doing exactly. But in this case, oops, Control D for deselect, I'm going to choose 50, and then you can just fill it with a color or black and white, whatever you prefer. But if you have a black line, you want to fill it with something that isn't black, at least temporarily, so that you can get rid of the black line. So let's just fill it with white. So you go to Edit, Fill, or Shift F5. Remember, all the shortcuts are visible if you hover over with your mouse. All the commands. Cut is Control X, copy Control C, paste Control V, paste special. There's some really nice things in here. You can paste into, and I'm going to show you that in a second. Paste in place, if you want it exactly pasted at the exact same spot. Sometimes if you just hit copy and paste, it shifts a little bit, so something to keep in mind. So I'm going to go fill and drop down. I'm going to choose white and click OK. And now you've got a white shape. If I want to get rid of the black, there's a couple different ways. One thing I can do is just go copy, Control C, and then paste, Control V, and now it automatically makes a new layer. And with my move tool, I can move it around. Okay, that's a really easy way to do it. If you don't want to make a new layer, one thing you can do is with your magic wand, again, it's just select the inside and then inverse it, which is select inverse, and now everything around the white is selected. And if you just hit delete on your keyboard, you're deleting whatever's around it. In this case, it's just the black line. Different ways to do the same thing. So now you've got a shape filled with a color that you can always change by just doing the same fill function. And if you go to Control T or Edit, Transform, Free Transform, Edit, Free Transform, Control T, you can adjust what the shape looks like by pulling it. Depending, you probably don't want to go bigger though. You want to start big and then scale small, because remember the lecture about pixels. If you make something bigger, the pixels are going to get bigger to fill the space. Okay, and if you do that too much, it's going to look funny. It's going to look pixely. If you right click on a transform icon or a transform field like this, right click inside of it, you can change what type of transform you're going to do. You can choose perspective, and then if you pull in the corners, this is probably more apropos of photography if you're trying to change a perspective. You can right click and go to warp, which gives you a field, and you can pull on these individual points and really precisely kind of alter. This works really well if you're trying to make, if you have some image distortion in a photo, for example. If you're taking a picture of something in a frame which is exactly rectangular and you're not standing directly in front of the frame or picture or whatever, you'll get a distortion, a perspective distortion. Warp is one way to adjust for that, but you can also just create neat little shapes and alter them by just clicking and dragging. You can move these handles. You can click inside like this and drag. There's a lot you can do this way. I'm a big fan of the warp, free transform warp. And then when you're ready, just hit enter. And I did this really fast, but that's one thing you can do. Okay.